Hi everybody, it's Marcy, and as I mentioned in my giveaway results video, I am temporarily putting my little golden book aside and I'm going to start working on Dear Julie Julie's July Just Junk Journal Challenge 2, and I'll be using this book. I was having a really difficult time deciding what I wanted to do, what I wanted to use, so on and so forth. And so I kept waffling back and forth. So I finally just said, okay, this is one of the books I looked at. Let's just do it. I'm just making this journal for myself, and I can just have fun and play. I'm not even going to worry a whole lot about being matchy-matchy. I'm just going to make this sort of a fun, eclectic journal for me to use. Now, the book I'm using, you can see the title, it says Flower. It's got a bunch of flower paintings. And so I've got lots of good images I can use in here. And I did go ahead, just because I was being wishy-washy about everything, I did go ahead, I expanded the spine and covered it with fabric. So this fabric will end up being one of my 3 fabric scraps that I can use. Okay. Everything else and this is my one book. So both of those things I'm committed to. And everything else I'm just going to commit to as I go along and decide what I want to do, because otherwise I'm afraid I'm never going to get started. So the first thing I want to work on is I need to make an envelope with insert, and it needs to be made from a calendar. So I'm going to set this book aside. The calendar I've got, I don't know about you, but I don't have a whole lot of old calendars, and I don't really buy calendars anymore because I keep my calendars either in my planner or on the computer. Okay, so, but I do have this appointment book calendar from, it was 1998 and 99, I believe. So for my envelope, I'm going to use this piece out of it, and I am going to play. I don't know why July feels like a play kind of month, but it does. So I've got some Distress Oxide inks. I've got Dried Marigold, Abandoned Coral, and Bundled Sage. And the first thing I'm going to do is add some color to my calendar page. And I'm just going to put some of the Oxide onto my glass mat and spray it with some water. And I'm spraying it pretty good because I don't want it to be overly dark. And I'm just going to start dipping my paper in it. So there, same three colors, but they look entirely different because they got different amounts. They're in different locations. This one has more of the marigold. That one has more of the abandoned coral. But both very usable. So I'm going to let those dry for a couple of minutes and then I will be right back. Okay, so my papers are completely dry. And now I'm going to do a bit of stamping on them. I'm going to make this envelope very simply because I don't want to use my envelope punch board because that would count as an extra item. So I'm just going to fold there. And I'm going to come down and I'm going to fold here. Oh, that's not even. Try to fold it evenly. So I've got a very simple envelope made from a calendar page, and you could glue down the edges. I will be sewing mine, but before I do that, I want to go ahead and make my insert. And my envelope is right at 8 inches tall. I think I'm going to be putting this into a signature such that the flap goes into the signature, and this flap can be used on the other side of the signature as a little tuck spot. So for my insert, got this. Okay, I'm not going to want it to be, it's 8 inches tall. I'm not going to want it to be that tall because I want it to slide in and out easily. And so I'm going to be gluing that closed after I sew around it. Actually, there's no reason I couldn't go ahead and glue that closed, because then I could just sew around the very edges. So I think I will go ahead and do that. Sorry, I'm thinking this through as I'm going. Okay. So I'm going to glue my envelope closed there. And then, after I sew around it, I will come back and I won't sew this edge. And I will come back and I will trim that edge out. So, yeah, that'll work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this down. Doesn't have to be glued perfectly because I will sew around it as well. I just want to get all my, I just want to hit my sewing machine once so I don't have to keep pausing the video. Okay, then I actually got some green, I think this is probably masking paper, but it was used as packing paper in a package that I got. So I'm excited for that. That's the first time I've had the green paper. And then I've got some where I was having to run print tests on my computer, and I coffee dyed a little bit of that. So I've got one of those cut in half that I can use. And then I can fold up this little extra piece of calendar. I'll probably need to trim it. Yes, I will. So let's trim that off. And we can put that right in here. And we're just creating a little notebook using our junk. I might need to trim those papers again. Okay. So, I need to sew around this and sew around this, and then I will be right back. Okay, I've got my envelope sewn around. I didn't sew this edge, but I went all the way around there. I sewed around the cover of the picture on this little notebook I made. Then, since I had the sewing machine, since I was at my sewing machine, I went ahead and I just stitched the pages in, and I stitched a little piece of the fabric that I had used on my spine in as well, not to be a closure, but so that I can tie it to act as a little pull tab when this is tucked in here. Okay, but before I do that, I want to go back while it's still pretty flat. And some of the same stamps that I used on the envelope, I want to use in the journal. Just and I think that's all I'm going to do on that. Like I said, it's not a full fancy little notebook, but just a little place to make a journal entry or write some notes. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of fabric that I sewed in, and I'm just going to tie it to make a little pull tab. Okay, now what I want to do is I need to trim off the edge of my envelope, and my little notebook is right at about 3 1/8. So why am I having trouble? Okay. So cut that. I'll need to cut that. And when I sewed this, I back stitched, so even though I'm cutting some of the threads, they won't come apart because I back stitched. Okay. So now, if I measured everything right, there it is, that little notebook will slide right in there. And then it's got the pull tab, so you can pull it out easily. And there you go. So that is, and I said earlier I was planning to put this in a signature, and I was or am, as I'm thinking about it, with this little notebook. It might be a little thick down at the signature, so I'll see. But if I can't do it, if I can't bind it in the signature like I'd originally planned, then I'll just put it over a page. So, just that easy. But I wanted to show you something else for any of you that may be having trouble getting started like I was. Like I said, I decided on a book. And, okay, so now I'm locked into the book. I got to do whatever I've got to do with it. Then I started messing with this calendar, pulled out the colors that I did, And now look, I've got a linen that I think will go with that beautifully. Here's a garment. It's a dress that's basically lace and then the under part, which will also tie in with that beautifully. So there's nothing I can do about the colors in the paintings. I mean, painting colors are what they are. And I love these images. But for me to try to make anything cohesive out of a variety of different styles and colors of paintings would be nigh on to impossible. But by just sitting down, starting, just playing. As I was sewing them, I thought, oh, wait, I think that dress would match that. And I'd forgotten about the linen tablecloth, but it will do great too. So anyway, that's just a thought. Just if you're having trouble getting started, and not just this particular challenge, but anything, any journal, anything you're doing, just start playing and see if you like what you come up with. And by playing, you may start figuring out what you want to do. Like I said, I had not chosen so many of my items, but that green, the green I knew I wanted to use because of these inside pages. Because I knew ahead of time that would go well with it. But my other stuff now, only now that I'm beginning to play, is beginning to come together. So I still don't have my whole kit put together, and probably won't I probably won't work from a kit this time. I'll just pull things out as I think of them and decide that I want to use them. But anyway, so that's it for now. That's one of the 11 types of elements that we need to make, and I hope this helps you. If nothing else, helps you figure out maybe an approach to take when you're stuck. And until next time, please be safe, stay healthy, and happy crafting, everyone. Bye-bye.